Welcome back to the Webby O'Neill channel. Thanks for joining us for another video. We're going to break down Ruben Amorim's interview with BBC Sport. Also take a look at Monday's press conference ahead of the Arsenal match on Wednesday. As usual, Reds, have your say in the comment section below, also in the live chat, and we'll try and discuss some of your comments throughout today's video. Sticking on the BBC Sport interview, what was the main takeaways that you took from that?
Well, the main takeaway is that every 18 hours, to be honest, it feels as though like there's a Ruben Amorim press conference or an interview, and we're learning more and more about him, which is good. What I take from the interviews, especially with the BBC Sport, is the honesty, what comes out of him, the emotional side, knows what he's doing. To me, it's unprecedented. Me, in my football lifetime, I've actually not seen many interviews and honesty from a manager at Man United so early in his start and his reign.
Yeah, we're going to take a few of the snippets, the main takeaways from that BBC Sport interview, which if you've not watched it, please do watch it because it's a really, really good interview. I'd probably say it's one of his best since he's come to the club, in my opinion. But we will get that a link in the description for that interview after this stream is finished. But yeah, I'm going to get a couple of the bits on screen actually now. And he talks about the connecting with the fans. And as you can see there in the middle row, maybe because I'm a little bit emotional, I can transmit that even in interviews, maybe because I'm different from the last coach. Is he different from the last coach in Erik ten Hag?
I think he's actually different from every coach I've seen. He talks about the emotional side, the connection with the players and how you have to be emotional. But I think that helps. You look at all the other managers, and we've talked about it, you have talked about it out there. His age, he seems to be able to connect, and that emotional side seems to be right up there on being part of a coach and dealing with players. And it's his honesty, and I did touch on it at the beginning, his honesty. We always have to be honest with the fans. How often have we heard people say that and not be honest with the fans? But he seems genuine. He speaks straight away. He's out with it. There's no hiding place. He gives no one any hiding place. He's there. He is emotional. And it's refreshing every time I hear him. And this BBC Sport one, like Kieron says, go and watch it. It is good. One of the best. And it's his honesty about everything, really.
He said there, I think it's on the thumbnail, he said, it will not change my... Well, what did he actually say on the actual thumbnail?
It will not change me.
Yeah.
It will not change me. So that's how it is.
He needs to get that back up there.
Get
what did
it
he
back
actually
up,
say?
son.
It will change my life.
Yes.
It will not change me. Got it out there in the end.
Yeah.
But it's a great quote, that, to be fair.
Yeah, well, it's early days.
It shows you the humility in him as well.
I think it shows his steadfastness, that he knows what he's doing, to be honest with you, that he knows what path he's on and he's going to stick with it. But the thing is, he sort of talks in that about Portugal, the Portuguese league, and where he's been coaching and everything. And he also acknowledges he's in Manchester. It's a different culture and everything. So when he says, it won't change my life, it will not change me and all that, I don't know about that. This is Manchester United. He sort of touched on it, but went off it as if to say, I'm in control. I know what I'm doing. It's not going to change me. But I think he might look back in a year or two and sort of say, I've had to change. I've had to adapt. The Premier League, this worldwide football club, it's took me by surprise, and I have had to adapt and change. And I think he will change. I understand his sentiment. He wants to be the person who he is, but he will also have to change, I believe, to fit in with Manchester United and the demands on him. The demands are on him now. Look at all the interviews he's doing. He's not one what does many interviews. And now look at him early in his start at Manchester United. He's changing his philosophy, what he had back in Portugal. He didn't do many interviews now, but I think he might try and temper that and cut that off. I think that's why we're seeing all these interviews, to be honest with you. I think he's getting it out of the way so he can carry on with the job.
Yeah, no, I do. Do you not think he'll try reining him in, though? A lot of interviews, I think he did mention, was it a couple of weeks ago, was it after Ipswich, that he does want to start toning interviews down and concentrate more or less on the players and what he's got to do there on the pitch.
I think that's what he's going to do. I think that's why he's getting all these interviews out the way now. And the interviewer on the BBC Sports does allude to that, sort of apologising for asking for an interview and getting one. So I think he's putting it all in now, and then he's going to cut back on it. That's what he did in Portugal, and I think that's one of the things he wants to do here, and just concentrate on his job. And it's refreshing to hear that.
Derek from our members club, did anyone see the reports out yesterday about Real Madrid showing an interest in Dalot? I did see 50 million, if it's the right one, which, take that with a pinch of salt. There's no way Real Madrid are putting a £50 million bid in for Diogo Dalot. Dan Fenton, Sim, Steph, all joining us in the chat. Anyone else out there getting involved, get your opinions in the chat, and we'll try and discuss it throughout today's video. Going on to how he treats the players as well, and how he prefers to treat them as individuals, not as a group. And as you can see at the bottom of that snippet there, it says players don't care what you've done before. It's about your work in that moment. Some rules are the same. Some rules are the same for all, but I treat players differently because they are different people.
Well, he's dealing with individuals, and he understands. I listened to his interview talking about the individuals, but I also listened to him about his learning, where he learned it all from, his coaching skills, going to university and everything. And he was surprised at how much he had to learn and take in. And one of those things was actually dealing with players, young players and everything. So I think he already comes in to this league knowing that each player is individual. And how many players are individual in there? They don't seem to be a squad where they're all together. So he's got his job to do, but I think he clearly understands how to manage, unlike some of the managers we've had over the years.
He does talk about his stress, but he does feel in control as well. Always got a smile on his face, and it's the honesty that I really like from him as well.
Stress. He's always going to have stress. Dealing with Manchester United, he's had stress with Sporting Lisbon, but he deals with it in a different way. I'm in control of the situation, and that's what you like to hear. And I think he is in control. I think he's in control of the interviews. You seem to just sit there and listen to him coming out with the words and everything, and what he sees the future of Manchester United. And I think he's fully in control of these players. He's told them a few home truths. They understand how he's going to deal with him, and I think the rapport between the players and Ruben Amorim is absolutely bang on at the moment.
Yeah, Aunt Gail, thanks for joining us. Zach as well. Ross as well from our members club. Malp says, I've run out of how many interviews Ruben has done now. Yeah. It's crazy, to be honest. But even though he's done quite a few, I can't put a number on it just yet. Every time I see one, I want to listen to it. I want to click it. I want to listen to what he has to say. And I can't actually say that of when Erik ten Hag was the manager here at United, because a lot of the time I didn't want to hear what he had to say, especially near the end.
I don't think just Erik ten Hag. I look back at all the other managers, because when you talk about stress, they all got stressed pretty quickly, and they deflected a lot of the questions. But Ruben Amorim talks and he answers the questions. And he's prepared to answer him. So listening to him, every time I've listened to him, I've took away, I like the man. I'm liking him more and more. That's what I get from it. I understand what his philosophy in football is, what he's set out, what he's setting out to do and set the team up, and what he wants the players to do and what they've got to achieve. And it's clear each time I hear him that he's not happy with the players at the moment, that standards have got to rise more and more, but he understands that he's got to take time with these players to get them there, the fitness, the intensity and everything else like that. And that it is a plan, he's working to it, and things will change. That's what I'm happy about. He's clear that what he's got now, he will be changing it right through to the summer and the following year, because the job is a big job and it needs work, and the time, well, he's got time to do it, and that's what I like. He knows. That's why I say, when he talks about being in control, he is in control, and he knows what's going on, and he knows the time scale.
Danny Blackburn said it's the biggest job in the world.
Yes.
Amorim's got massive challenge. Derek from our members club also was talking back to what we mentioned earlier on about Diogo Dalot with Dan Fenton, that they're not having it either, 50 million for Dalot. But let's face it, it's still a few months left this season to go, and who knows what some of these players might do and improve under Amorim. We might look back and have different thoughts and opinions on most of these players may become May.
Yeah, I'm concerned about all these reports about players. They just keep coming out about all players, and we're buying this, we're selling that and all that. But let me tell you something now. If the opportunity comes to sell Dalot, just sell him in January. 50 million. My God, that is a massive amount of money for a fullback who's playing left back, who's playing right back, who's now playing right winger, left winger. I mean, so 50 million. My God, I don't know who the report is. I don't know if it's genuine, but hey, speculation is there all the time about Man United players.
Don't get me wrong with you, talking about different positions these players. You always need them players who are versatile in your squad to cover certain positions due to suspensions, injuries, etc. It's just his overall performance for me, which I touched on a few weeks ago after the Tottenham game, and I don't feel like I need to go back there just now, but let's hope he improves just like every other Man United player. Patrick Melia says, I love the fact that we can see what he is doing with the players on the pitch and the direction he wants to go. We never knew what Erik ten Hag was actually trying to do. And it goes back to what you said earlier on. It was a lot of questions with Erik ten Hag where he'd just deflect him, and you didn't feel like you was getting a proper honesty from him. And you've get with Ruben Amorim right now, like, that connection there between himself and the fans, where you can genuinely see an honesty to him about his previous life, what he's had to do with work as a coach, building his own career, Sporting Lisbon as well, and coming to Manchester United.
Well, I think that's why everyone who knows Ruben Amorim before he came to Manchester United talks about his honesty and what a good bloke he is in football, coaching, and everything you hear from him is the honesty. Straight down the line with it, knows what he wants, he's his own man. And when you go back to the fans with with Ruben Amorim, what he's doing in that, the fans do understand. I touched on it on the aftermatch. The fans inside the ground, for instance, they're all aware because Ruben Amorim is doing all these press conferences, and we're getting unprecedented access and knowledge of what he wants in the future and what it's all about. I think it's fantastic because it's clear to me, the fans in the ground, speaking to him beforehand, after the game, they know what Ruben Amorim is all about, and we've never had that before, and that is a good sign. So let's hope he keeps up with that and being honest with the fans. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, Marcus Stevenson from our members club, Richard Club Sport, thanks for joining us. And Richie says Maz has highlighted the deficiencies of Delo. He had some praise as well, didn't he, for Mazraoui in his press conference on Monday. Looking forward to the Arsenal game on Wednesday.
Well, it's the first time, correct me if I'm wrong, press conference today on Monday, he turned around and said Mazraoui is a top player because he understands the game. He's a modern player. Now, that to me, that was not bewildering, right? It was a shock to me because he's pointed out Mazraoui, and we've talked about Mazraoui. You have talked, to me, he's the most consistent player this year. But he's give him an A-star plus, top player, modern player, and he understands the game. Now, when have we heard that? When have we heard that in the last couple of years? Let's go back to Erik ten Hag, for instance. You know, when have we heard that? We've not heard praise like that. This is top praise from a manager who's respected, who understands the game, and is a coach, and all his coaches seem to know what they're doing. To come out so early on about a player, I mean, that's refreshing. So other players inside there, this is what the reason he's saying it, it's to let these other players know, hey, I'll give the praise when I see it. I will come out with it. So you've got the standard, and Mazraoui is setting the standard. A modern player, he understands the game. That, to me, I've not heard that. I was amazed by it.
Yeah, Russ Townley says on Delo that it's not enough, seeing as Branthwaite is 79 to 80 million, lads, and he was doing his best, wasn't he, Branthwaite, over the weekend to try and knock that price tag further and further down for maybe a possible summer transfer to Manchester United in the summer, but let's wait and see on that one. But yeah, he actually said on Mazraoui, he's a top player, comfortable with the ball, he understands the game, and he's the future of our team. Strong words, like you say.
They are massive words. It's the future of our team. He already knows that he's going to build a team around Mazraoui as one of the star players who understands football. I'm gobsmacked by the statement, but on the other hand, I go back to it. That's a message to every player, okay? Every player in that squad. You've got to get to the standard of Mazraoui on the pitch. You have got to be, every game, 8 out of 10 minimum, and that's what Mazraoui is. He understands the game. What he's basically saying, that a lot of them in there don't understand the game. Now, the game is changing because the tactics are changing. There's no 4-4-2 or whatever like that. He's brought in a new style, new way of playing. Mazraoui straight away. There you go, lad. You're the top player. Now that, when you look inside that club, how many players think they're star players and that, hey, I want all the congratulations, I'm the man and all that. He's just going about his job there and he's just got the top praise in the club. Every other player must be looking at him and thinking, I thought I was.
But it also shows you he's prepared to come out publicly and praise a player like he has done Amorim as well. So if other players do perform like Mazraoui's been doing, you'd expect him to do that for other players as well. And he did talk about the fans and the chant that they've got for Ruben Amorim. And he says, I don't like my chant. Yeah. They have to chant for the players and the club. So really, that shows like a humility and it reinforces Amorim's, thought process that, you have to back the players and it's the players first. Well, and he's just like a component all in that, it's just a cog in there.
Listen, the book always stops with the manager, but the manager has to talk about the players and not himself. At the moment, he's being asked all about himself. And I think this was the first opportunity where he was able to come out and praise a player. But I think there's logic behind it. And it's to gear up the other players and sort of let them know, hey, I know what's going on. I can see this player in training, because he talks about him in training, that he just goes along in training, doesn't stand out. But when he performs on the pitch, he understands going forward, defending and everything. And he is a proper modern player. And they're the standards. He's telling these other players, that's the standard I want from you. So there's a long, long way to go to achieve what Mazraoui's doing.
Yeah, Agent Jake from our members club says, I saw the interview this morning. He was very good. He answers any questions, and it's good to see. And it's obviously that BBC Sport interview. And he was talking about Arsenal as well in his press conference on Monday. What did you get the sense of from what he said? Confident, relaxed? Well, as usual, really. That's what you get with Amorim, I suppose.
He knows it's going to be a tough game. And I think the way he was talking, I think you might see a tweak to the system, to be honest with you. Really, we don't even know what team he's going to put out, because we've never known what team he's going to put out. I think he's confident. I think he's got a game plan. I think he'll take it to him at certain stages. I think he's going to try and hold him the way he was talking. I think the midfield's crucial. He knows that. He pointed that deficiency out against Everton on Sunday, how for 15, 20 minutes of the game, we lost control. He knows where the problem is. It's been there for years. And he knew the problem before he come. And he knows this is a big test. So the midfield, I think he's looking at it.
Yeah, I think Agate will be a big plus coming back into the team for Wednesday. And on that challenge with Arsenal on Wednesday, Amorim did say they're the best team we faced by far, but we have to be brave and control the game when we can. I do expect to see more or less a back five for the majority of the game, sitting back. I know when I last watched Sporting Lisbon when he was managing there and they played Man City, in that game, it was more often than not, especially in the first half, a back six. So this system of 3-4-3, it will adapt to a defensive duty at some point, but also an attacking duty as well at certain points in the game, where you probably will see Manchester United counter-attack, from that back five, springing forward. But it's just about the players knowing when to do that.
Yeah, it's in-game management. He seems to have it, and it's down to the players to understand it. We've seen a bit of that in the Ipswich game when he first made his 2 substitutions. We played a bit more defensive because we needed to be more solid. So we can change it. Listen, you might see a back five and then change it depending on what's going on in the game. But when he talks about the game, I think he's more thinking we need to be more physical. We need to be more physical. We need to put them off the game. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens on the physical side, because he has talked about that physical side of it and the intensity side of it in many of his press conferences.
Yeah, like I say, I think the wing-backs will tuck in to make that back five more often than not against Arsenal, because we have seen it, since he come in against Ipswich, in the last 3 games, that, Manchester United still can be got at, in them wide areas as well, where, it can only take 1 pass, sometimes 2 passes from the opposition's midfield, and they've broken our defence. So the players like Odegaard, etc., that Arsenal have got, they are going to have to be tight, limit the space that they can actually play into Arsenal, especially when they've got players like that in the team who can hurt.
Well, he points out the quality of Arsenal. So he knows the challenge of the game, that they will come down the wings, they will come through the midfield. So he knows the challenge is to change it up. He knows the danger, and it is the first quality side, really, is faced, and it will be a tough challenge. But, hey, I'm just hoping to see United battle, and I think that's what he wants, and I think he understands it's going to be a battle. There will be big problems throughout the game, but it's a matter of the players changing and adapting to the style and working out how to close it down.
Yeah, definitely got to look at the wide areas as well, left and right, try and close that space down. And for me, obviously, it's going to be a really tough game against Arsenal. I think we all expect that. But for me, looking throughout the game, I want to see what the team shape's like, to see how the players have adapted to it, took the instructions on, and how to actually play his system as well. Because if we actually do see a team shape throughout the game, and we're seeing that 3 at the back, or more or less a 5 at the back when we're defending, with the 4, well, with the 3 and then the 2, I think it will be good positive signs going forward that a lot of these instructions in training are being took on board.
I just hope they don't lose the shape. We've seen that many times under Erik ten Hag, losing the shape when things don't go right, and really that's all you want to see. You want to be able to see United players understanding what they have to do throughout the game. And if the quality is higher than Man United's on the day, then you just have to accept that Arsenal's quality is better. But I don't believe that Arsenal will have it all their own way.
Maury says Ahmad should be undroppable against Arsenal. I think he's definitely going to be one of the first names on the team sheet. And even from that right wing back spot, he does give you something different going forward than what Rashford or Garnacho gives you as well.
I'm not
I think
sure.
that's why he's actually in that wing back spot.
I think he might think of to rotate again. That's what he's doing. I think he might rest him. Just don't know. That's what he's doing. He's looking after players, and you've got to understand. Ahmad is a young player. He's had a bit of game time now, and some other players need to come in, and the tactics might dictate if Ahmad starts. So it's a matter of waiting and see. He wants a first team spot. He's fighting for it, but he's still young. There's a long way to go, and he's got to adapt, and the team's got to adapt. They've got to understand he won't always be automatically picked. You look at Ireland the other day, scoring 2 goals. You would have thought, right, there he goes. He never picked him. I did not believe it when I seen the team sheet that Xerxes was on. And that's not me having a go at Xerxes. I'm just thinking of confidence and all that. But it seems as though like the players have got the confidence, whether they're dropped or not, whether they're rotating. So I don't think it'll affect Ahmad in his progress and all that. I think he'll understand because he's a clear with his instructions, Ruben Amorim. So I think the players believe in what he's doing. So I don't think it'd be a problem if Ahmad's not playing, because the tactics and the style and the setup will be different, because this is a higher grade football team we're playing.
Have to start Ahmad against Arsenal, in
No,
my
I
opinion.
understand. I understand what you're saying.
I think if you're looking at resting him, obviously if his fitness is there, play him against Arsenal. It's a huge game, and it'd be a good test for him, team as a team and individuals. But you're looking at Nottingham Forest on the weekend. That ain't going to be no easy game. But for me, if you do need a little bit of rotation, maybe rotate him against Nottingham Forest. But I'm always a big believer as well that you start your strongest 11. And, that's the way I go forward. Obviously, Ruben Amorim thinks we should do the rotation, which is working absolutely fine right now. But for me, Ahmad has to start. I cannot put or think that Anthony will get in front of Ahmad against Arsenal on Wednesday.
Going forward, there's no reason to drop Ahmad.
I think you will actually see Amorim's strongest 11 in what he thinks against Arsenal on Wednesday. Apart from obviously Martinez, obviously suspended, Mainu suspended as well.
Can't wait.
But yeah, really looking forward to it.
I just can't wait.
Yeah. Just like to thank you all for joining us today, getting involved in the chat. If you'd like to support the channel, support today's video, smash a like on the video, and we'll be back tomorrow straight after the game with a match reaction. Thanks for joining us, everyone. See you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.